Hello, hello. Here we are for Tune In Tuesdays. This is my very first live broadcast. And so, wherever you're tuning in from today, it's awesome to see you. Maybe you're just about to go for lunch, maybe you've grabbed a coffee, wherever you are, it's awesome to be here with you today. So, what today is all about, Tune In Tuesdays, it is where, I am so passionate about helping business leaders and entrepreneurs. How do they stand out? And how do they stand out without selling out, and what it is that makes them unique? So I just thought, why not get together every Tuesday, show up live here on Facebook and answer your questions, whatever it is that you want to know about content, whatever it is that you want to know about posting schedules, whatever it is you want to know about where to post, when to post, how to post, all of those different questions. I would love to answer those. So in today's live session, I promised I would talk to you about what to post. So during this time, as we tune in on this Tuesday Facebook Live, I also will be checking your questions. So, of course, the camera's here and the live stream is here. So, if I'm looking down, I'm checking for your questions. So, what I'm going to talk about today is, what content really works? What is it that's going to get cut through? What will truly stand out? Now, I know in the last year, I've spoken with over 2,000 business leaders and entrepreneurs. And more often than not, they tell me it feels a little bit like this. First of all, wouldn't it be great to be this up close and personal to people right now? Coronavirus, no. But more often than not, it's this, I've got a business, I've got an idea, I've got something to sell, share, or to promote. And I kind of get to the social media and it's so cluttered. And how is it that I can stand out in the midst of all of this? I don't know if that's you or if that's something that you can relate to. And I know for me personally, I get it. This picture is me with my little boy, Bailey. What I had started doing, I worked for about 15 years in corporate, working for a bank and doing all sorts of comms and marketing roles. Then I left and I worked for the New South Wales government, for the New South Wales Small Business Commissioner, and I had worked as a consultant. Then when I had my second baby, little Bailey, I started my own business. And I started with nothing. I had no list. I started working with small businesses when all my contacts were in corporate. And so suddenly I had to find a business, find a market, and also I had to build a profile, almost like that. How do I get known over time? So I understand, and I don't know whether you can relate to this, but I kind of had these thoughts. First of all, I don't even know if I have time to figure out this whole social media thing. I'm trying to do sales, I'm trying to set up all my systems, and then I'm also trying to market. Like, how do I have time to do this? The second thing is, like, it's not as if there's too little information out there. There's like so much. So how do I work out what is going to be most relevant for me and my business? And the third thing, does it work? I'm going to put all this effort in, and does it even work? And I don't know about you. I find when I'm talking with audiences, it's usually about 70% of the room feel like this. Do they even want to hear from me? Now, I know that when I first started out, it's that moment when you've created this article, you've put all this content in it, and you're just about to press send, and you have this moment of terror, like, oh my gosh, what will people think of me? I'm suddenly going to put this video or this written article out into the ether, and what will people think? So certainly this has been my experience. And when I've worked with clients, business leaders and entrepreneurs, this is the same thing. And this is part of what goes into creating great content. Now, just a way of introduction, just to introduce who I am. So once I had the baby, and in the last 3.5 years, my whole business is about how do I help business leaders and entrepreneurs, how do they stand out without selling out in this age of online influence? What do they practically do to build a brand? How do they create this story? How do they set up the systems? Who do they work out who their audience is? And how do they do it in a way that they can get known and grow? And that's what I'm interested in. Now, in better times, I usually do this through speaking. So I work in keynotes, conferences, working mostly with businesses that gather together en masse, licensees, franchisees, membership groups. But I also do it deep diving into workshops. So whether it's a live workshop or like just this morning, I worked for the Australian Small Business Advisory Service, which is ASBAS. Definitely look them up if you're looking for some great online workshops, ASBAS. So I joined with them this morning and we did a workshop on digital storytelling. So storytelling, how do you do it, what goes into it, and really going into the deep depths of it. And next week I'm doing one on content creation. I do them on LinkedIn, all sorts of topics. And I also just last November wrote a book. So I wrote this book, The Standout Effect, which is how to stand out without selling out in the age of online influence. And it was basically a guide, all of the information I teach in my workshops into one book. And this is something that I then can basically use as a how-to guide. So you can go through it and do it yourself. All the tools and templates, everything I teach in that one book. And that's available on my website, kieranzerner.com/book. It's also on Amazon. So that's a helpful tool. But today, what we're doing is we're talking about content. So what is the content that's going to help stand out? Now, I know we've got a few people who are tuning in right now. So curious to see, could you recognize this? What is this ad campaign, this story that comes up when it comes up? Or maybe this one, the Not Happy Jan. Remember this one? I showed this morning. It was back in the 2000s, the Not Happy Jan campaign. It was this iconic person with this iconic phrase. And what was it? Ultimately, it was about selling yellow pages. And the one that didn't work before, don't think it's going to work, was about the Amy campaign. Remember Rhonda and Katut? Was there ever a better campaign for love across the continents? And it was selling car insurance. And what it did was it doubled their market share. It astronomically, it was about 4 times, quadrupled their brand reach, so that the name association of Amy because of the campaign. And it even created great acting careers for the 2 people that were in it. So not only do we have these, when we think of content, we think of these big epic campaigns, but really when it comes to business leaders and entrepreneurs, it's how do we break these down into micro stories so that you can have something to create. And I think to put this into context, is it about sharing like a video, giving people an insight into a photo or an idea? This was from the Pokemon campaign. Maybe it's showing people the behind the scenes. So showing people into how you do things. And this can be really useful into giving people an insight into what it is that's unique about you and what you do. The third one is about sharing information. Like the micro story might be sharing your expertise, like the top 3 tips for how to build a house. It could be, in this case, 6 ways to improve your gut health. The 5 tips that everyone must know before they do their first social media post. Sharing information, these little things become like the micro stories. So what content works? Now, this morning I went through a really in-depth sort of discussion because, and when I wrote this chapter of the book, it literally was the biggest, because when it comes down into what's the message, like how do you tell the story? What's the method? How do you tell it? What's that bigger story you're trying to create? Was really, there's so much depth here. But just 3 of the things we talked about this morning. The first one was the show the behind the scenes. Maybe this is an idea for some of you out there about how you can engage your audience and to help them to know you, to like you, to build rapport, and to ultimately trust you. And it's kind of based on a Zig Ziglar quote who says that people who like you will listen to you, but people who trust you will do business with you. And in many ways, a good friend of mine, Charlie Pidcock, I just did his sales mastery training, a boot camp. And he talks a lot about how do you get people to like you, to build that rapport, and then so that they'll trust you, so that you'll know what you do, so that they'll trust you. And that's kind of what we're trying to do through our content. So showing behind the scenes is a great way to show people about who you are, the way that you do things, and also what it is that's unique and different about you and your business. Another idea that you could try is about sharing your views on news. So you're reading articles, you're seeing something that's really relevant and trending for your business. You could just copy the link and put it into a LinkedIn post, or you could share your unique views on it. What do you think about that article? What's missing from that article? What's the question that ties this concept together that will ultimately lead people through to a new way of thinking, or ultimately through contacting you for your expertise? What is it that you're going to add to the views? And that's what helps to build our credibility and our expertise. The third one is creating series around hot topics. So this morning I think we had about 50 people on the call this morning, and the ideas that they had flowing were amazing in terms of creating series. It might be, I used an example of a personal trainer who has a really low business in winter. So what does he do? He creates a campaign. He's going to do the Winter Warrior campaign. I had a story of someone that created sustainable products. So they said their first series will be about reusable straws. The second one will be about reusable coffee cups. And the third one will be about reusable containers. I had someone else that was saying that they'll show people the experience of a disability consultant, works with families with a disability to help them through that process. So they'll talk about almost like a day in the life of. It was amazing the things that came out. So what I'm going to do in this little session today to try to add value to you is just kind of peel back a little bit more into the show behind the scenes, just to give you some ideas that you can come away with. So the first one is, have you introduced yourself or your team through your content lately? Have you sort of given a sense of, why you've gotten into the business that you do? This is a really key way to actually build that rapport and also talk about what it is and why it is that you got involved. This is a really cool idea. The second one is that day in the life of, so you can show people, how do I prepare when I'm going to go meet with this client and this family? And I said to this morning, taking a photo of, being reflective and, how do I prepare mentally for what I'm about to, the value I'm going to add, because my state is really important. What's involved in the process, in the assessments that I do, and then how do I follow up? And I do follow up, so instead of just saying, here I am, I support people with a disability, actually showing the process is a really cool way to give people insight. And the third one could be showing the creation of something from start to finish. Now, I love this. I love to use this story. It's a beautiful florist in the inner west called It Floral. You can look them up on Instagram. So Tonya was in one of my classes, and she was a florist for weddings and events. Of course, Corona hit, no more weddings, no more events. So she shifted her business into becoming a florist available for sale. And what she's done through her Instagram, I think, is brilliant, because it suddenly shows people, here I am available out, delivering flowers. She's set it on Timelapse and showed the creation of these things coming into creating this beautiful bouquet, which shows her expertise, but it also is beautiful and attractive. And she shows herself shows the florist, the building itself, and gives an insight into what it is that she offers. And it also shows a bit about her and her personality, so it helps people to like what she's doing. For some of you, maybe you use Instagram stories. Have you ever thought of using Instagram stories as kind of showing a behind the scenes? Now, what we have here is Flemington VRC. Now, I love Flemington VRC because I think they show their events through stories better than anyone. Now, what they follow, of course, it's in Melbourne. It's like Derby Day, Melbourne Cup, all of those big events. If you go on and check out their account and look at their little stories at the top, they show the behind the scenes. If you have an event business, or if you have something where you welcome people into an experience, by showing this, like, imagine you're a theatre company. So it's like walking into the venue, going through the ticketing process. Here's the bar area. Here's where the seating is. Here's the behind the scenes of getting ready. Just about to start, curtains raising, afterwards the drinks, meeting the people up close. It's a really cool way to welcome people in to the behind the scenes. And by doing that, it creates this appeal and anticipation, and people are more inclined to come involved and to go along to your event. So that might be an idea for someone out there using Instagram stories. Have you thought about that before? Using Instagram stories as a bit of a behind the scenes tool. And this one I love. It's the time-lapse video. Maybe you've just got your own iPhone. Down the bottom, when you're filming things, there is a time-lapse feature. And it's brilliant to show the creation process. Now, I use the example of creating the flowers, but also this one is like a design, making something. I've had people who are involved in building and construction. So maybe it's about making the kitchen. So you show it from the process of completion, from start all the way to the finished product. And it's amazing. It makes great content. And because it's got that quick flickering movement, it catches the eye and it draws the eye in. So it's a really good one. The other one is the before and after. So thinking through, what is it like before and what is it like after? And this can be really compelling viewing, especially if you have a business where maybe you are involved in designs. Maybe you come along and you decorate. Maybe you create event styling. So it's like the before space and the after. This is really compelling viewing. Also, if you have if you're a fitness business and you show, here's the before working with me and this is the after. So it's a great way to show that as well. So giving you a few ideas, I'm curious to know, what could you do? So now you've seen some ideas. I've given you lots of them. What could you do? Have you thought about doing a why video before? Have you thought about the before and after? Have you ever used time-lapse before? Maybe this is the time to try. I wonder what it is that you could do. So it's been great to sign in with you today and to give you this Tune In Tuesdays, but I'd also just love to give you some resources. If you'd like to get a list of content ideas that you can put into place, I've got a template for that. If you'd like to think about, how do I plan this out over a year, I've got a template for that. If you'd like some tools on when to post and what to post, or maybe it's even some tips for growth, just jump on into bit.ly/Kieran Plan, all in uppercase, and I'll write it in the comments. Then I'll send you these tools for free. I'd love to help to equip you and to tool you up for this in your own business or in what you do. And of course, if you'd love to buy the book, it's available for sale on my website, kieranzerner.com/book, or it's on Amazon. So I would love to stay in touch with you. Facebook is going to be my dedicated space for business owners and leaders. So if you have any questions, please jump in, even just add the comments to this Facebook Live. If you've got a tip, something that you would like to cover on Tune In Tuesdays, then please do let me know and we'll look at those topics going forward. There's heaps of resources on my website, and you can also find me on LinkedIn and Instagram. So it's been great to connect with you today. Remember, sometimes the hardest thing is just starting. Maybe for you, you just need to start. So what are you going to do today to start posting? And I am going to tune on out.